Hello and welcome back. We're going to get straight back into it. Here is part 2 of episode 6 with Alfie Spencer.
So to me,
So there's a lot of similarities between me and you, because my first ever match was a Rumble, quality wrestling. And do you remember what happened to me in that match, Alfie?
well, I do remember you and a good friend of ours, the Devil Man, were grabbing me and attempting to beat me up, and I then threw you over the top rope in return for that.
You did, yeah. The big, was it a Boss Man Slam?
Oh yeah, the big Boss Man Slam.
And then, chucked out over the top rope. And actually, that day, the thing that scared me most was the fact that with the ring we train in, it's quite a small ring, isn't it? And the rope's quite low, so all the time I'm practicing going over the top rope and landing, it's not feeling too bad. I get there on the day and see this ring's like twice the size. I'm looking up at it thinking, I've got to go over there later. How's that going to work? So I remember, like, during the match, as you chucked me over, I completely changed my tactic from what I'd been learning, because I felt too far to just put my hand down and like break my fall. So I ended up going over and sort of bouncing over onto my back on the apron and down on the floor, which didn't hurt, but it looked like I'd like killed myself. It looked terrible. But I walked away from it thinking, that was pretty cool, I'd like to do it again. So those nerves do go, don't they, after a while?
They do. Obviously, you did scare the living daylights out of me. Like, as soon as I threw you over the top rope, I turned around obviously to go back to fight Jim, but I then see you do like your little stunt on the outside. I'm like, as he broke his back, because the way you impacted it, didn't make a sound like a whack.
No.
It looked so impactful. I was like, I might have just broken his back.
I mean, it wasn't bad at all. I was just focused on selling, and because of the unique nature of that show, we had everyone lined up, didn't we, on the top. So I went back to my place, sort of still selling a back injury. So I couldn't just walk off and then stand there like I'm fine. So I was selling it for a bit, but I didn't think about how that might have impacted you doing that move. So, which brings me on to injuries actually. So I'm petrified of doing moves on people that could injure them. Like, if I know I can't do a move safely every time, I'll avoid doing it. I won't have it in my moveset, which does limit my moveset, but means that I'm safe in the ring. How do you go about trying to avoid injuring people, and what impact does it have on you if they do get injured accidentally?
Well, when I started out, obviously I hated it. Like, if I injured someone, I always would ended up degrading myself. I hated the fact that I would have injured somebody, because I thought, like, well, that makes me look bad, and that's made me feel terrible, because like I know how big of a toll wrestling injuries can take. But the way I try to avoid it is I make sure that person knows what I'm about to do to them. I make sure, like, if we even plan the match, we're doing it on the spot, we're like calling it in the ring. I tell them I'm doing this, jump, or prepare to jump, or do this and that, or prepare for me to hit you in the head, like with this sort of thing. I try to make sure. But if prone tonight, right now, if they get injured, I take it as it impacts me still. Like, I hate that I've injured someone. It's never a nice feeling. But I always think that, was it entirely just my fault? Because this is the part of me that is like, the kindness is still there, but nowadays, after everything I've been through growing up in wrestling, I'd say that I've grown quite a thing of like, it's not always the person who does the move's fault, it's the person who takes it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's a two-sided thing. People in the wrestling think, oh, we are the only ones doing the moves, it's our fault, we injured them. It's more like, how does the person take the bump? How does the person take, like, whether they position themselves off, they get punched. It's like that. So right now I feel bad, but I always will talk to them afterwards, like, if they try to call me out saying, well, it was just retarded news, like, well, in this, I saw you do this thing as well, so I don't want to say that it was just like it was your fault. I say it's both of us, but not everything is just one-sided in wrestling. It's always two-sided.
Definitely. And have you had any injuries yourself?
Unfortunately, I've had like the sadness of having quite a few injuries. I've had 3 ribs popped out my socket in my back from a training injury. I wrestled a match with it, and I didn't know I even had them. I took so many bumps, and then after I went to my chiropractor, they told me, you shouldn't have been in the ring, and I was like, yeah, I can get that now, I can feel it. I've had black eye, I've had someone land on my face from like falling over, that wasn't pleasant. I'd say my worst injury that I got, and it's probably one of my more recent ones, I got sadly a mini concussion during one of my live brewery shows. I will say that it was accidental and stuff. There is no hard feelings anymore, but obviously, thanks to that one moment, I understand like the toll of wrestling. Like, it is a dangerous sport, and it is a sport whether people like it or not, and it is very scary. Especially like my biggest fear when I get injured is obviously my head.
Yeah.
I don't like when my head is at risk. I don't like that if someone's going to try doing a move on my head and they're not confident. But the fact that it was something as simple as it was a super kick. It was one person punching me square in the face and one big super kick, and that right place placed right about, I'd say, here on my neck, and it knocked me straight out cold. But I'd say that it was an experience, but I'd say I take it as a learning more than I hold it as a grudge towards anyone else.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Did you, after that injury, did you sort of consider not carrying on, or?
I would say that a part of me was, and I'm not going to lie about this, I've come to like a bunch of my head injuries in the past. I've always considered, is that it? Is this really what I want to continue doing? Because, I mean, I once had like the ropes give out on me once in training. I fell out the ring, I hit the floor.
That must be scary as well.
Yeah, I've fallen out the ring twice. One time I did hit my head, but it wasn't as bad as when I got concussed. But all three of those times, first time didn't really consider like, is this something I want to continue doing this? Second time was up and down, but third time definitely was the big moment when I finally got able to think again in my head what to do. I kept thinking, this should really be what I consider. Do I want to do this? Because sure, the concussion was tiny, it was small, but it felt like, what if it was a bigger one? What if this was like, what if my neck actually snapped? What if that was the moment? So, obviously, it's not nice just doing like anything like that, but obviously it's something you need to consider when you're injured. So, part of my brain during Christmas after that, not literally Christmas Day, but building into it, was, do I want to like continue with this? And obviously I decided that this probably won't be the last time I get injured. Hopefully not as bad as this, but I want to continue because I've gotten this far and I love this. I've made so much incredible like history and memories through this. I don't want to give up. I made a deal with myself saying that the one time I would quit wrestling would be the day that I can't walk anymore, or just like my body tells me. Like, that is the agreement I made with myself. It's obviously a lot of people are like, that's a terrible agreement to have with yourself, but I don't want to stop until I know I have to stop. Because I love this sport too much to give up on it.
That's fair. I mean, I always said I'll keep doing it until either I can't walk until old, which is rapidly approaching, or I'll stop enjoying it. If I go out and think like I didn't enjoy that at all, or that I couldn't take anything positive out of that, then that's the time to stop. Like, I stopped playing football a few years ago because I stopped enjoying it. I don't miss it. If I did miss it, I can go back to it. That's the thing, isn't it? You can always go back to it. But I suppose for someone your age and like how long you've been wrestling, there's like so much like ahead of you that you can still achieve. Whereas me, I've come into it like probably far too late to do anything meaningful with it. But I still enjoy it. I love what I'm doing at the moment. So yeah, I'll carry on until that stops being the case. But so you wrestle for different companies now. Been at Quality, you've been at Venom, you've been at POW.
Yeah.
Do you feel any different wrestling for each company? Because for me, I find that I get more nervous wrestling for Quality than I do for POW. And I think the reason that is because my trainers obviously come from Quality, and I'm a product of what they've created, if you like. So I feel the need to sort of do better and impress and do the best I can for them because I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
Whereas at Venom, I seem to be a lot more relaxed. There's a bit more freedom to bring out my character. I don't seem to feel like getting things wrong down there, and that's nothing on Quality. It's nothing they've done. That's something that I've built up in my head. Have you found that at all, or are you quite consistent?
Well, I would say that part of me is, it feels like that sometimes. Obviously, for Quality, I felt I always had that nerve because obviously that's where I train, that's where I'm gone. But after a while, that nerve did pass. I would say that for newer companies, since I've gotten able to be part of like ones from that have ties to like big promotions across the country, like the world and stuff, that is probably when I feel my most nervous, because wrestling for like quality and kapow, it felt like that's like big goals. That's been like what my dream was when I was training, and I finally did it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I felt nervous, because I know the wrestlers in these rings. But when you go for like, I wrestle for like other companies right now, like Hex Pro, and I'm trying to get into like other ones in the future, but like they have people from like Japan that are like well known over there, like world famous, and it's just like that's the moment where my nervousness working with clubs like that hits, where it's like this could be feedback straight back to the people they've worked for, like this guy you don't want to have in your thing because he did this to me in our match and he may have an accident, but I might not really want to wrestle him again. Yeah. So it feels more like that. But wrestling for like quality and having my experience wrestling for kapow felt relaxed. Sure, you still get the adrenaline burst when you come out. It's like you got hearts pounding, you don't know how to calm down, but it's meant to be there to help you. It's not something you're like, I can't control my heartbeat. Everyone, even the professionals, gets like that. Yeah. So, like doing my first quality show compared to my first Powerhouse show, I'd say I felt very much at home. I felt like calm, relaxed, and I knew what I was doing. Like I've grown from like mostly planning my matches to the fullest or to calling it in the ring, but I feel so much more calmer because the communication is there, and obviously the trust has to be there. And since it is, I feel more relaxed. So I'd say I'm similar to you in that respect, but it's more when it comes to like the unexpected unknown to what I'm normally used to.
I suppose you've got friends that go to quality and kapow as well, haven't you? So that helps have the friendly faces around, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Like I love like throwing myself into the deep end of like new people. I like challenging my neurodiversity to like talk to these new people, get to know them.
So how do you do that? How do you go about that? Is that you forced yourself to do that?
Well, sometimes tough love is needed for my neurodiversity because I am an antisocial person normally. I struggle to talk to new people. That's how I felt when I first ever got to kapow, but I realised the only way that I'm going to be able to get past like the barriers like I did in quality is if I throw myself into the deep end. I talk to these people that I'm working with. So I went up to the first person that I saw, which was not someone I was familiar with. I think his name was, Warhead Kingsley. Maybe you might know him as like one of the former kapow champions. I was most nervous to actually talk to him because I was like, he has such a reputation and stuff. But I went to the deep end and I went, hi, I'm me, nice to meet you. And that works. And I've always been like that. It's like with quality. First time I saw someone outside the training room to the Quality Wrestling Academy, I was like, I need to talk to them. I can't chicken out. This is my first time working with people. So I went up to them and I said, hello, it's nice to meet you. And it was quite scary because the guy I did it to was the guy I watched wrestle. His name's Liam Wolf. He was one of the first people I talked to inside of like wrestlers in the indie independent scene. I talked to him at a showcase, and obviously it was awkward because obviously I was nervous then. But then I went to talk to him at training, and it felt like better. Like, I felt like I got out of the way all the like nervousness, the rubbish. So I like doing that to myself, and it shows it works because you feel more calmer. Because the nerves stay, you're bound to mess up on something. So it's better to force myself to do stuff like that than be afraid to ask.
So if I brought somebody in now and said, "Oh, this is Colin, he likes trains," would that be a different conversation for you than, "Oh, this is Dave, he likes wrestling"?
I would say that I would not be like prone to not be able to talk to them about what they like if it's not wrestling, but I would try and find some neutral ground. It's like, how did you get from trains to here? Like, what got you from here to there type stuff. So obviously, as my mum probably knows, my main thing I talk at home is wrestling, because that's my life. But I'm not afraid to talk about other interests and other things, other people. But throwing yourself in deep end with someone who has nothing to do with wrestling, that is a bit of a challenge, I'll admit, because it is more unknown territory, because I don't know how they'll react to, like, let's say, oh, I'm a wrestler, they're like, will they react like positive, or will they be like, well, I'm not really interested in that myself?
I find either people do like wrestling or they're interested to know more about it. I've not met many people that are like, oh, that's just ridiculous. Like it's just fake fighting and things like that. Like they'll ask you questions about it. Like when I talk about it at work, it's completely like different from me being a police officer. So if I talk at work about, oh, I've got a wrestling match this weekend, I find most people like fascinated about it and want to know more. Yeah. Or they're secret wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think wrestling is a good talking point, and like I spoke about before, it does seem to attract people with neurodiversities. Do you think you're a wrestling fan because you're a neurodiversity, or do you see them as being completely separate?
I say that wrestling has become almost my addiction because of my neurodiversity. I feel like everyone who has some neurodiversity will always find something they want to latch to. Like this is like what they feed off of. That feeds their inner child, inner enthusiastic, inner adrenaline. So wrestling, I think, thanks to my neurodiversity, became that strong like link to me, which has made me feel like, yeah, this is something I want to do. So I'd say that my neurodiversity did play a role in me getting so addicted to wrestling, but I'd also say it's like the idea of me trying to find my place, because growing up with neurodiversity, and I think a lot of people can relate to it, it's hard to find what you want to be, who you want to be. So once my neurodiversity, after a while of like not finding that moment, found it latched to it, and it was like, this is it, you're not changing your mind now, this is what you're sticking with.
So your wrestling persona, your character is Karnage.
Yes.
You're a big, loud baddie.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
I would say a big loud baddie.
Yeah. It's complete opposite to what you are in real life. Complete opposite to Alfie. Is that fair?
I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah. So was that on purpose? Did you want to be something completely different as a wrestling character? Because you said at the start that, like, you know, when I was coming out, I gave this loud roar because I wasn't being Alfie, I was being a totally different character.
Yeah.
Is that why you chose something so different to yourself?
I did, yeah, because it was also with like watching like matches and like people that I trained with. When we all did like equality, when we did the example of let's like do like a match made up at the end situation, like a sequence, or when I went even like when I did my first Kapow session, I went in and we had to like be in character. So it was like. Was I going to be like all these show offs? Like, because half the wrestlers here are either like posing golden boys, the flirty like character, the show off, or the simple shut up, I don't like you guys, that guy. And I realised there were no monsters. There was no like big men. I was a big guy, and I thought like I'd look terrible if I was going to be like, oh come on guys, I'm the golden boy here, get behind me. So I thought it would be different if I was a monster, because I'm the biggest guy in the room half the time, so I need to find that balance of what am I going to be like monster-like. What am I going to be, the silent Michael Myers monster? Am I going to be the loud, crazy, like big man, like I'm a sane asylum lunatic monster? What do I want to be? And I realised then that after thinking about that, even like not even like considering being a monster character, I was like, well, this actually would work, because everyone else is sort of similar. I want to be the enigma. I want to be different from everyone else.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you are. Like, I've not really seen anyone else around like you and like your sort of style and your character. So it's good to stand out and be unique, isn't it? So I think it definitely works for you. So what are your realistic goals in wrestling? What do you want to achieve?
Well, it's more. I've made like a bucket list in my head. It's been like prone to 4 different things.
Okay.
Thing number 1 is, even though I understand the whole premise of like it doesn't always matter where you win or lose, I've always wanted to have a belt. Obviously, I know I'm still new to the game and it's going to be a while before I can get a belt, but my goal in life with a belt is I want to win my first belt and take it to my nan's retirement home so she can have it, because she loves wrestling, but she never in her past 50 years had ever been to a wrestling event.
Okay.
So I want her to actually be able to see a belt and hold it for the first time. That's why having a belt and like winning like one would mean everything to me. That's my goal number 1 at wrestling, is just have a belt for the first time and just be able to go, I've done this is the first step.
And do you still qualify for the junior championship?
Oh, sadly, no.
You passed that now.
I'm a bit past that now with like Quality's junior belt. I thought like for a while like I'll get it at some point, but I'm not upset I'm not going to get it now. But I think like there's a lot of deserving people in Quality right now. Like my current friend PJ, he's the current champion. working his butt off for it. I think
he's very good.
I think it looks better around his waist than it would my waist at the moment. So
is there any belt you've got your eye on in particular?
Well, the
Powerhouse Championship, maybe?
The Powerhouse Championship, definitely. I've had my eye on that very green belt for a while. I'd also say the Hex Pro Championship.
Yeah.
It's got I love like belts with such weird, unique designs. Yeah. So with the Powerhouse being bright green, it's like that. Hex Pro literally being a hexagon shape, and stuff like that. So those two belts for me are like they're my target focus. But if another belt comes along, a tag belt, I'll take it. It's like any belt is a belt. Like you've got one.
So I was speaking to Jensen Theory about this recently, and we were talking about like the need to be a champion, need to have a belt. It's like, well, what other ways are there of like showing that you're doing well? Do you know what I mean? Like it's a bit different because in wrestling, it's not necessarily that you're the strongest or the fastest or the best. It's recognition that you're working hard, that you're over with the crowd. There could be any number of reasons why you could win a belt, but like, how else do you measure that sort of success if you haven't won a title? So I'll definitely get that. So that's number one on your list, to win a belt. What's next?
I think the number two on my list is wrestle more veterans. I had the privilege not too long ago of wrestling, in my eyes, one of the best veterans in the game, James Ty. People say he's a local legend in British wrestling, and I definitely agree with my experience with him. I wrestled with him for St Mary Suplex, which is a lovely charity event wrestling company. Obviously I came out and I was meant to be like the bodyguard to this guy who pissed off James Ty and all that, so I was meant to be like, I'm the security in the situation.
Yeah.
But wrestling him felt rewarding because I never thought I'd be able to wrestle a veteran so soon in my career.
Yeah.
And wrestling him, I felt confident, like it was a confidence boost. And it was also my first singles win. I won the Rumble that beat you, and I won that Rumble. That's my first Rumble win. But my first ever singles win was him. So for me, I felt so humbled because I felt they trusted me this much with this win. I never asked to win. I never do that. I would never go up to someone and say, I want to win this. But the fact they gave it to me, I was emotional when they told me because I obviously was like praying that at some point I'd get it. I didn't mind how long it took, just wanted one big one to say I did it. And the fact it was like, your first one will be against a veteran of the game. And
he is a legend.
He is a legend.
He's brilliant. And a good coach as well.
Good coach, yeah. One of the most physical wrestlers I've ever wrestled.
He's big and he's a big guy.
Yeah, I dwarf him obviously in height, but like in muscle and like the impact of his punches are stronger than
it's ridiculous, yeah.
His uppercuts are vicious, but that's what I loved about it. It felt like what I always wanted to be, a match where it's like nitty gritty.
Yeah.
It's like he's like a final boss in a video game. Like you want to beat that guy, and it's going to take everything to beat him.
And he's done it.
Yeah. So my goal is to wrestle more veterans again, not to beat them, but to learn from them, because I feel like wrestling from them is a learning curve, and it's all like after the match, me, James, lovely conversation we've had, and he talked to me about what I did. It was all lovely, positive stuff, and he told me what he thinks, or what he'd like to think would be best for me. Not telling me I have to do this, but what he thinks would help me get over in my career.
And you're going to listen to him, aren't you? Because
Yeah,
he knows that he's done it all, isn't he? So.
Yeah, he was really nice about it, and it's been such a pleasant time talking to him and like learning from him. And we get along quite well. I feel like we talk quite often when we see each other now. So obviously you wouldn't believe that you go build like such a bond with a veteran. It's just like veterans nowadays look at like us younger wrestlers like we don't take it seriously. But the fact that I have such a privilege to be able to learn from veterans like James, Rishi, Chris Kay, all these people, it feels super rewarding, and I love to wrestle with veterans. I don't mind where you came from. I like just wrestling big guys. Anyone.
Yeah, nice. So, win a title, wrestle more veterans. Anything else on your list?
I'd probably like to have a big fight with a few of my friends in the independent scene. Like I have a bucket list of wrestlers I love to wrestle.
Well then, who's on your list?
I want round 2 eventually against my friend PJ Reeves. Last time we wrestled, he did a dirty pin on me, this and that. He's meant to do it anyway, but I want to do a proper rematch against him. A match that I do definitely want to have against is Twitch for Kapow. He definitely has been on my own for a while. Everyone keeps saying that's the match. Quality, that was always the match they talked about. It's like me versus him. And like, at first I was definitely skeptical. Like, you've seen how big that guy is? Are you sure? And then after talking to him, it's like, yeah, I would love to wrestle him. I also would like to say I'd love to wrestle someone like Alexander Murdoch.
Yeah.
That's another one. I would like to wrestle. Well, actually, another person on my list who I'm wrestling very soon is Bullet.
Yes, I heard you were wrestling.
St. Mary's Suplex. I am wrestling Bullet in a handicap match with my friend Tommy James.
Yep.
And that's one on my list instantly. Another one is Chris K.
Yeah. Can we squeeze that in before he retires? Is he retiring properly?
Yeah, I would love to, but I respect the fact that he's picking Pacific people for his
I think he's earned the right to do it, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I take like training alongside him good enough that and probably one of my last people is actually Carl Atlas from Hex Pro.
Yeah.
That's it's him, and I'd probably say like a proper one-on-one match with a good friend of mine, Archie Cole.
Yeah.
Because we have shared the ring a few times in Quality's Training Academy. We've had an absolute blast working together, and I do respect Archie a lot for what he does for someone so young. He's been doing longer than I have and stuff.
Did you have a tag team match against him?
Oh, we did, yeah. Sadly, it was the match where I had my concussion, but I still felt like in that moment the match was good. Like
it was a good match. I was referee.
Yeah.
From what I saw, it was very good.
Yeah, I definitely had fun with it, despite being concussed and obviously didn't know where I was at the time.
Apart from that,
it was a nice moment. We have shared the ring, like I said, a few times. Never had a proper one-on-one match, but in the future, if it came to it, Archie definitely is on my list. The list will keep growing eventually.
Of course, yeah.
Right now, these people are my select few. I'm sparing Rishi off the list because I know I'd say like once you retire, you retire. And I don't really, like, after he's done, I don't really want to be like, well, now you have to wrestle with me and I'm going to throw you around.
I'm sure he'd wrestle you. Like, there's a few people that have said to him recently that I'd like to wrestle you, and they have done, haven't they? So, let's see why not. I know Donny Bolt wrestled recently in the British show, didn't he? So, you never know, mate.
Never know, yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't get, do you?
Yeah.
Interesting. It'd be a good match, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think that you save that for a brewery show. That's a special,
definitely,
sort of match, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the way I got my Bullet match was I asked the promoter Emma for the match. I was like, you don't have to give it to me, but I'd love to like challenge myself to a big match like this guy. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll give you it, and I'll give you what you want. But it can't be a singles match at the moment because she's got too many people.
Okay, fine.
Actually, there was one person, Spiral, because a lot of people can say to me Spiral are similar because like, he's a guy who wears red and black face paint. I'm a guy who wears blue and black face paint. So they want like that clash kind of thing.
Is he at Hex?
He's at Hex and Kapow, and he appears everywhere else around the town sometimes. So I'd say that it's a possible match that can happen eventually.
There's plenty of like potentials for you, and like they're realistic.
Yeah,
most of them are realistic opponents. Maybe not Chris K, but if you're training with him anyway, like you say, it's as good as.
Close it will get, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So who would be on your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? Could be any promotion, any era, anyone at all. To get four, who you gonna have?
I'd say that my list, I'd like to say it's a unique list, but probably will be controversial to a few people, but this is my experience. Number one is Sting. Sting to me is the face of wrestling, in my opinion. He was the face to me because he's the one who got me into wrestling. The first ever match I watched on YouTube is Sting's debut in WWE from the Survivor Series Team Cena vs Team Authority.
I remember that well, yeah.
So as soon as I saw him, I was like, this guy's present. He's wearing face paint, he's so confident. I love this. So I looked him up, watched more of his matches, and I was like, this man is fantastic as a wrestler.
Yeah.
So I got to really enjoy that. I say Sting is on my right shoulder. He's never going to move. Second one, he's more of the modern generation. I say Kenny Omega.
Okay, yeah.
He obviously people say he's the god of professional wrestling. His wrestling ability backs that up, in my opinion. And Kenny just like shows what success can do. Like he's not been afraid to like stand out and be different. And Kenny to me was perfect as a wrestler. Like he had the looks, he had the moves, and also he's a fellow anime lover and stuff like myself. I was like instantly up there as my second on that Rushmore.
Yeah.
Third one is actually going to be, I say, it almost was a tie between Undertaker and Kane, but I'd say Taker.
Yeah.
Taker, obviously, because he gave me, I wouldn't say it was just him, because obviously Sting inspired Karnage a lot, but Taker, this is like, the different enigmas of wrestling, like the different, like you can be loud or you can be silent, and the fact that Undertaker had such a presence to him, to me felt like that is incredible, like of a presence. I want that so badly. Like when he walks through, people know they don't have to cheer, they don't have to boo.
Yeah.
It's just like he's there. It's a moment,
And he does that without talking as well. Doesn't need to open his mouth to get that.
no talking. Just he gives you that look, and you're like, you know that this is going to be a good match.
Yeah.
But obviously that's sort of so far. My last person on my list, and it's obviously five on the last bottom of my list when I made it when I was younger, was always there's so many good wrestlers, but I'd say that my last one, even though it's probably could be reserved for so many others, was hometown boy Finn Balor.
Okay.
Finn Balor to me was like, out of all the wrestlers I had, there's never been many British wrestlers. Like, sure we have like people that I like Drew McIntyre, William Regal, Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah.
But Finn, he's Irish, but he's wrestled in the British independent scene so many times. It felt as if like Finn was similar to me. Like I looked at Finn like he was a guy growing up. He didn't know where he wanted to be, what he wanted to do. Got into wrestling, he instantly got over, and like when people thought this guy isn't going to really be up there when he gets older, but he's already got the crowd behind him. He's in WWE. It feels like Finn belongs on my Mount Rushmore because it's like his journey is what inspires me.
He's actually really like underused and underrated as well.
He
isn't
is.
I'm glad he's got this singles match at WrestleMania because he deserves it. He's just been part of a group, isn't he, for so many years now. It's just like this is the guy who was the first ever Universal Champion.
Yeah, exactly.
And would have been for a while, and he not got injured that night.
Yeah.
He lost the title the next night, didn't he? He had to give it up.
I'm praying that Finn said he wants to go for like more years than like ever now. I'm praying in those years they give him like one more chance. Like I don't have to be multiple times. Just
just one decent run.
One decent run. What we were missing out on that one SummerSlam where Seth injured him badly.
Yeah.
So
And there's definitely space for that, isn't there? Like you think, I don't know what's happened with Punk and Reigns, but he had that mini sort of feud with Punk, didn't he, just to fill in before WrestleMania, but he needs a proper go at it, doesn't he?
Definitely, they need like a rematch. They need like he needs more title match. He needs to be in the main event. I wouldn't say I'm happy he's at WrestleMania, but I wouldn't say that I'm happy he has to wrestle Dom and stuff. I don't want it to be like I want it to be one and done situation. It doesn't have to be.
He's going to be Demon, apparently Demon.
Yeah, he brought back the Demon, which again is like as a guy who uses facepaint for my stuff, is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'd say that Demon Finn Balor, perfect moment, but we need this Finn Balor to be Universal Champion once at least, and have like all these matches that people have always wanted him to have as the belt holder before it ends. But yeah, that would be my Mount Rushmore: Sting,
Strong,
Kenny Omega, Undertaker, and Finn Balor. They are up there. It's controversial, but I like being the
for sure. List, mate. It's personal to you, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it doesn't need to be like the same as anybody else's. No one else needs to agree with it. Like mine are probably a bit more like traditional, but just because they're all I grew up watching, so it'd be Rock and Stone Cold.
Obviously, yeah.
Just from that era, they carried that era.
They carried it.
That's the time when I was properly invested in wrestling the most. And then going back to my original ones that I watched, be Macho Man and Bret Hart.
Yes,
Because like ability-wise, like the colourful stuff they wore, like their character, just perfect. You don't really get characters like that anymore.
No.
They're a bit more manufactured nowadays.
Yeah.
And you can get over with a simple catchphrase, whereas before you had to have a bit more about you, don't you? So they would probably be my four. And I'll go back and forth with like more recent ones of who I like and who I don't like. But it's more about how they're booked rather than their ability, I find. It's not always about how good you are. So I'll talk about Finn Balor, one of the best wrestlers on the roster, without a doubt, but just not used in that way. So one final question for you. If somebody was listening to this podcast that had neurodiversities and they like wrestling, what message would you give them if they've got reservations about whether they should get involved or not? What would you say to them?
Well, what I'd like to say to them is, don't think this as like it's going to be like anything but not easy. It's definitely not going to be easy for you, but it is a rewarding journey. If you want to get into wrestling, I recommend try it. Don't pressurise yourself into thinking like this is going to be something I have to do constantly. Not everyone trains, for example, every day of the week. Some people do, some people don't. It's a journey, and it's a worthy journey. Sure, at first you may not feel like you're getting where you want to get to, but if you stay the course, stay determined, you'll reach it. My goal at the end of my wrestling journey is I want to get to TNA in wrestling. I want to use that to get myself to WWE. I want to reach that part of my career. So that's my end game ever since. I really want to get there. And I've always thought in my mind in neurodiversity that with such a brain like we have as neurodiverse people, with our imaginations being this creative, we are able to create ourselves in such unique ways that we will get noticed. And anyone who's neurodiverse who wants to get into wrestling, I will never say that your diversities will make you anything different from anyone else. You are more creative than half the people in that room. Your brain is unique. It will make you do things that you never thought you could do. It will help fight those nerves that you have inside of you and fight against it. So my message would be, try it. Don't think, oh, this is going to be something I don't know about. Try it. Just dive in head first. Don't be risky. Don't do what half those young guys do and be like all the flippy rubbish and all that. Just dive in, try it. Don't be at all afraid. Just be bold. Be bold, confident, say what you want to do, how you want to do it. And I promise you that you will get places, because I didn't get to wrestle for Quality, Kapow and all these other companies. I get these amazing bookings from just simply being a pacifist. I got there because I wanted to show that I wanted to be up there. I wanted to be like all these amazing wrestlers that I've become friends with. I wanted to be the confidence that drives like the wrestling community. I wanted to be an inspiration, because so many people that have grown up, diverse kids that I've known, have given up. They've come out of stuff, they don't want to do it, and it hurts to watch as a person who's got neurodiverse myself. So I want to not just use my wrestling journey as a thing for myself to boost my confidence. I want it to be a thing for those people who have not given up yet. I want them to look at it like, I will get to where I want to get to. I don't care if the journey is bumpy, but I want people to look at me like, I've got here, you join me, you come over here too, you do this. It doesn't matter where you go, you will get there. So just use your disabilities, use your neurodiversities to how you want to use them, and use them to build yourself as a wrestler who you are.
Perfect, mate. I mean, definitely couldn't put it any better myself. So ideal. Thank you for doing this today. Appreciate you sharing your story and being honest.
Appreciate it.
I'll get that uploaded later today, and get your message out there. But Alfie Spencer, aka Karnage, you're a legend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy, for having me.
And I want to be there with your first WWE match.
Oh,
front row. Gotta make it happen, mate.
I will. I'll probably get you some tickets somehow when that day happens.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate.
So there you have it. That was part 2 of episode 6 with Alfie Spencer. Long awaited, but so glad we could make it happen. Big thank you to Alfie and to his mum for bringing him down. I know Lois had some involvement in arranging that as well. Great family, along with those two, and Dad Tim, one of the nicest families I've met in my time in wrestling, and obviously that support has gone a long way to help Alfie in his success so far, as he will do in the future, I'm sure. He's a great talent, a lovely guy, and I wish him all the best. So thank you very much to Alfie for being part of this podcast, being so honest, being so open. It's what needs to happen. We need to have these conversations to educate people about neurodiversities, how this impacts people on a daily basis. There's so many people out there that need our extra support and help. So thank you to Alfie, thank you to his family, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of Brains, Bumps and Belonging.